You're tuned in to the Behind the Scenes podcast with your host, Mann Robinson, the place where educational, motivational, and inspiration collide with innovation. Be entertained while learning from some of the best actors, directors, and producers in the industry today with self-help tips that you can apply in your career. We don't just talk about it, we be about it.
Okay, welcome to the Behind the Scenes podcast. I'm your host, Mann Robinson. And today we got some people, some innovators, some actors that you know of. Man, they doing big things. So our topic today is going to be quarantine, coronavirus, and really truthfully how it's affecting the industry, the film industry, entertainment industry, and how we can work around it if there's a way. This is something new and we're going to figure it out. So I'm excited to announce that we're going to have Harry Lennix. I found out he is the creator of this film, Revival, and Revival speaks for itself. It's a story from the book of John. If you guys are familiar with the book of John and Easter and Jesus, it's pretty dope. It's, in my own words, it's pretty dope. But can't put it in the theaters because of coronavirus. So Dr. Chad Lawson Cooper and his wife, Alicia Cooper, and myself, led by Mr. Cooper, came up with a way to actually have all the churches across America still be able to view this well-needed film on Easter Sunday. And we're going to play the trailer twice on the episode. We're going to play it now. We're going to play it halfway through. We may even play it at the end. I'm not sure. Maybe we will, maybe we won't. This movie stars a bunch of stars. I'll let you look at the trailer for all that information. But the guest that we're going to have today is Kenny Lattimore, the great singer, been around for years. You know his music. I know his music. We all know his music. We're also going to have Takima Crystal. She told me to say, I need Takima. So Takima Crystal Kima. She's going to be proud of me on that one. She's on part 2, though. So we got part 1 and part 2. So we got Harry Lennix, Dr. Chad Lawson Cooper, and his wife, Alicia Cooper. On the first episode, we'll show the trailer twice. And we will be right back after this.
This Easter Sunday.
Whom do you seek?
Jesus of Nazareth, the one who was crucified.
Jesus Christ,
Our Lord.
the Son of God, is alive again.
A musical inspired by the book of John.
Have you considered that he may never have been dead?
Revival. A must-see inspirational movie for the whole family. Streaming online for one day only.
This Jesus the Christ, does he remind you of anyone?
Family.
Daughter, what is wrong? My Father is God, and I only do as he commands.
You don't want to miss this Easter Sunday.
Everyone who can receive the truth listens to my voice.
Imprisoning him is not our request.
Log on to www.eastersunday2020.online.
Welcome back to Behind the Scenes with Mann Robinson. We don't just talk about it, we be about it.
That's the intro. And today's topic is coronavirus and how people in the industry, every industry is affected by it, of course. Everybody. But in the industry, there's actually, what I notice is there's a plus and a negative. The negative, of course, I'm talking about just the financial side. There's, of course, a big hit in production of films, places to go watch films, all of that. The plus side is distribution, digital distribution. So if you have a film that's distributed, all the audience can actually still go watch these films.
Absolutely.
So that is how I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Dr. Cooper and Mrs. Cooper, how you came up with the idea to stream it the way you did. Am I correct?
You're absolutely correct. I travel, as you know, probably about 265 days out of the year.
300.
Well, maybe even 300. It's a lot. Well, I won't even. But anyway, when this coronavirus happened, I had several big shows set up.
Yeah.
We were in the middle of getting ready to do a big Hollywood premiere with
AMC
with Justice on Trial, the movie, which you are very much a part of, and it just closed down. I mean, everything
it collapsed.
It was a pause button. I was like, what? And so, I had to adjust, first of all, being home.
Yes, we had to get used to sleeping together again.
Get used to that, huh? Okay.
He's gone all the time, so I told him, I said, get out of my bed, okay?
Who are you?
Ice cold. It can be 30 degrees outside, the air conditioner's on. So, having met, Harry's wife and my wife, and me too, were at FAMU at the same time, but my wife and Harry's wife were really, really good friends. And of course,
well, she's Miss FAMU. She was my Miss FAMU. I was the advisor.
Right.
So Gina and I, she was like my first daughter.
And so I met Harry last year with another movie, Canal Street. We talked a little bit, and then my wife ended up speaking to Gina, and then Harry and Gina ended up coming to the New York premiere, and we had a chance to sit down and talk. And they ended up. Gina told him, "Tell him about Revival, the movie." So we ended up talking.
The good wife.
Talking about it, and I when I was on one of those trips, I think we were in Atlanta with you, man, and I watched it. I was like, OMG.
Yeah.
This is something
really
that the church, the Black church in particular, has never seen. Pretty much an all Black cast and a Black Jesus, and very professionally done.
And music and everything.
Yeah, and Takia was very mean in that movie. I was like, no.
And the singing and the music was just, it was
everything.
To none. It was just beautiful.
And so I was trying to figure out a way that I could be a part of it and really help it, because, the church has really been my main audience for going on 17 years, and we've probably done about over 500,000 or more people have seen our productions in person.
Yeah, over 15, 16 years. Yeah,
and so I have a great number of partners. So when we go into a city, we did LA at the Wilshire E. Bell theater, and didn't do one commercial, and was turning people away at the door.
Grassroots marketing.
Yeah, just how it's been because of those many years of connection. So I was like, well, how can I help Harry? But we're doing Justice on Trial right now. So I just didn't know how to balance it. So then Corona comes, and Justice on Trial is not ready to be streamed. And I said, here's a great movie that can still go forth. It's Easter. It's the perfect movie for Easter. And let's transfer that fan base over to Revival. It just made so much sense. And hearing Harry's heart about it, the motivation behind it, it was just a pleasure to do and to be a part of it.
Yes, definitely.
And so there's another way of, keeping revenue going, for this project, and everybody eats when, we can all come together and bring our talents together and make it a collective effort, and still do what we do.
But how did you come up with, so your plays did 17 million, right?
Yeah.
Your Broadway did 17 million. So you convert that over to film, right?
Yes.
How was that transition? Like, was that difficult?
Well, it was kind of weird at first because theater is so much bigger than film, the theatrics of it, and so filming the movie. Of course, you directed it, so you wouldn't allow us to do.
We couldn't say anything, and he made me so mad. I was like, man, who is this guy?
It all worked out.
Yes, but he did a phenomenal job.
Yeah.
But we've been working together, my husband and I, so long for someone else new to come in and tell us kind of what to do. It was very different for us, but it was a good move as well, because you're a little bit younger than us.
Just a little bit.
A lot.
And so that, we needed.
I did see the 5 heartbeats though. I did see that. So
wait a minute. Okay.
I read y'all.
So that kind of gave you had a different eye for the piece. So we appreciated that. So I appreciate you guys too. It was just the difference between theater and film, and Harry, you know that as well, the difference between theater and film. And I do have a question though. How did you feel about the idea that the Coopers came up with to get your film out on Easter, even though the whole world is shut down? How do you feel about that?
Well, it's one of those things that I think was divinely ordered. The fact that, when I went and saw Justice on Trial, which I very much enjoyed, and I didn't even make the correlation, man. We've been talking on technological matters, but you did a terrific job, and it's a very, very moving play. But that said, I was just excited to talk to a man and a woman of God who were doing things in the same space, and so it just seemed like a comrade, a kind of a soldier in arms, as it were, soldiers in arms. My wife was the one who actually, as Lady Alicia said, urged me to tell them about revival. I just thought we were going to talk about Justice on Trial, which in itself is worthy of several conversations. But when he offered to look at the movie, I wanted to share it with him just to get a pastor's opinion about it, just to see if it was on point. I'm always interested in talking to people who know the Word of God, and who are interested in it. Wanted to see his opinion as a fellow filmmaker as to what we did, just as I was giving him my thoughts on what you all did. And so when he expressed this enthusiasm for it, I took it as a sign. And I thought, and I believe to this day, that what man means for our disadvantage, God can use to our advantage. We were talking to Bishop Brian Keith Williams yesterday, who was saying yesterday that when Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego were thrown into the fire, they were tested and tried in the fire, not outside of the fire. And that actually gave me such a kind of perfect correlation to what this movie has been. This movie has been really trying to get this word, bring souls to the kingdom the entire time. People have been somewhat reluctant for it. I just don't think that they've ever seen anything like it, so they don't really know what to do with it. Hollywood said no. I put it out myself. The people were doing other things during Easter time. There's all these things, but this year, God has seen fit to keep us at home, and we're getting our word at home. So I don't, in no way am I saying that this is for the benefit of revival, but the fact that revival can benefit from what is going on, the fact that people can actually stay at home and watch on their screens.
Absolutely.
The absolute word of God. This is chapter and verse, the gospel. We do different things with it. We believe, this is another thing Bishop Williams said, is that his Jesus is black. And so we got one too. And for the first time, we'll be able to see that God represented on screen with the first class production that we believe he's worthy of. So they've been a godsend. I cannot thank God enough for sending us the Coopers.
Yes,
they are amazing people. And Alicia, I have a question for you as well. As we go through, we learn a big lesson. As stuff happens, lessons are learned, and it's up to us to pick those lessons up and run with them. So the way that the world is moving, I believe, is shifted permanently, and we have to get our digital products out pretty much. And you have a voice, and you have branded your voice for years and years and years and years and years and years.
Wait a minute. Okay. I'm a veteran. Okay.
Okay, you're a veteran. So you have a branded voice, and that is you. So how do you keep it so relevant? And what are your plans after learning all of this, how important digital is? What are your plans moving forward?
Well, like you said, I've been in this for a long time. I'm a pastor's daughter. My dad is a bishop, and my husband pastored for so many years. So being a first lady, that opened a lot of doors for me as far as singing.
And of course, I trained her well.
No, he didn't train me, honey. I trained him. Everybody knows that. Ask some of our old members. But anyway, he's doing a good job. But so when I first started singing, which was at FAMU, I mean, I sang for Dr. Frederick Humphreys for many years. I would travel with him and sing for events all on campus at Florida A&M University. But growing up, my father kept me very humble, and I didn't have an idea about really wanting to sing.
And that's where we met, by the way.
Yeah, and we met at Florida A&M University. And so when I met my husband, he was like, you know, what are you going to do? Because I recorded with John P. Key and, different choirs all over the country. He was like, what are you going to do? So I was like, as long as I'm just serving the Lord, I'm just like, I just want to serve the Lord and upbuild the kingdom. And he was like, no, you got to do more. So my husband is really the one that pushed me into really pursuing a career as far as singing and putting me out more so in the forefront. So after doing that, just staying around young people, I have young children. They keep me in the know of, the digital streams of music and what people are doing now. So, and I listen to a lot of great artists like the Clark sisters, everybody. We all love the Clark sisters. I love Whitney Houston, my most favorite singer in the whole wide world. And so just growing up in the church.
And let me just pause there. The day she died, we were in
the day Whitney died,
City,
yeah.
We were in some
Alabama somewhere.
Yeah, we were in Alabama,
and I was getting ready to go on stage.
And somebody told her, she started crying on stage. We left there with Tallahassee was our next city, which was like a 8-hour drive. The whole trip to Tallahassee that night, I went to sleep, she was crying. I woke up, she was crying.
Well, I cried 21 days straight. I mean, just straight 21 days. Because I just loved her music. Because growing up in a church home, we weren't really allowed to listen to like secular music. And so she was the first one after I really got grown that I was like on my own and I could just listen to that style, freely. And so I was just so, oh my God, I was just mesmerized by her voice. But now where I am, I want to do a Christmas album. That's something that I want to work on next. We're working on the soundtrack for Justice on Trial. Mm-hmm. We have some other things that's coming up with Mr. Mann that we're going to be doing some writing because I do write music a lot. And so I'm looking forward to that as well. So that's my future as far as music is concerned.
Well, that is actually great, and I think that you are very parallel to Whitney. I do. That's my honest to God opinion. Yes, I do.
Don't tell me that.
I was directing you on a reshoot we had to do. I think it was in February. Was it February or January?
Yes.
And you had already did the performance before on the first shoot, and then you came back and did it in. I just couldn't believe it. I was like, wow, it was amazing.
Thank you. God
so I wanted to, give you props on that. So the 21 days, somebody's going to cry 21 days for you too.
Oh, will it be you, baby?
And now it's time for Mann Robinson's Motivational Thought. Black movie star, motivational and inspirational. Black movie star.
Okay, so this is our first episode of many via blackfilm.com. We are a film-related podcast that deals with teaching, learning, education, hands-on tips from actors and whatnot. But we also have what we call Mann Robinson's Black Movie Star. Excuse me for stuttering a little bit. Mann Robinson's Black Movie Star. And what that is that it's an individual, can be a director, actor, can be anybody in the industry, writer, definitely writer, casting director, costume director. Could be somebody that you know from your neighborhood that made it and they're doing background work as a living. They pursued film and they're now doing, background work as a living. And they're eventually, of course, going to, step up to others after that. That's the whole point. But my very first, to top it off, Black Movie Star, and it's not an award, it's just an honorable mention. We're mentioning them, and eventually we're going to let the audience, pick their own and vote on who these individuals are going to be. But the very first one is going to come from me, probably the first month or so. And who knows, maybe I might be one day. Maybe you might be one day. I don't know. The first one is Jamie Foxx for me. I know I went high. Got to start somewhere. So I started at Jamie Foxx because he did start somewhere. He started lower end. I watched the video, Steve Harvey stories, and seeing where Jamie Foxx came from before that, and did a triple threat, doing a biopic and actually becoming Ray. I mean, I can explain it time and time again. You've seen Django, you've seen Ray, you've seen Law Abiding, you've seen all these movies this young man has been in, all the songs, comedy movie, serious movie, drama. So Mann Robinson's Black Movie Star of episode 1 is the great Jamie Foxx. Peace and respect to you, Mr. Foxx.
Welcome back to Behind the Scenes with Mann Robinson. We don't just talk about it, we be about it.
So I want to give a shout out to Dennis L.A. White, who just recovered from the coronavirus. He was in the hospital for 15 or more days, but he's home now. He's doing good. He educated me on exactly what the virus does to you. It's a respiratory, and it stops you from actually breathing. And that's why, so many ventilators are being ordered for this. So it can actually hit home. And I think that the Coopers had a scare at one point and, rushed into the hospital and coming to find out that Miss Cooper was okay. But when it hits home,
she just wanted me to come home from Louisville, Kentucky.
And guess what? He was on the next flight. He was on the next flight. That's the first thing he said. I'm going home to my wife and my kids. That's what so he was there.
Yep.
So I was wanted to say that to let people know that we are not here to take the coronavirus as a way to make financial gain or try to find tricky ways to make money. The coronavirus is something that teaches us that we need to actually shift the way we do things so that we won't be deprived of the natural things that we need.
Exactly.
And it's a serious situation.
Exactly.
So with that being said, sorry for that little segment. I would like to go back to Mr. Lennix and to the audience. There's filmmakers, there's actors, there's producers, writers that are all listening to this. They go on blackfilm.com and they look at all the articles on, how to do this or how did this person become that. Do you have anything that you can get? Because you've been in the game for 40 years, I believe. 30?
Well, 35, 36, something like that as a professional. Yes.
Yeah. And that's a long time. That's a very long time. It's people that start in the game and fall off very fast.
Yeah.
And maybe they lose interest and they want to do something else. I'm not sure what some of the reasons being, but I do know that you stayed in and you have reinnovated yourself and you're still here and you're very religious and you speak the word. I heard you speak the word. I know it. Speak it.
He's really a preacher.
Oh, no.
just waiting on his graduation from seminary, but we since the coronavirus, not making fun of it, but they're graduating people without having to go through all of that. So I'm going to vouch that he should just go ahead and get his Kojic license.
Well, with that being said, let's get your first sermon. Let's get your first word now. And what can we tell our listeners about the longevity, and what kind of tips or something that you can give out to listeners?
Well, I first of all, I'm glad that Dennis is doing better. God, praise be to God. And Alicia, I'm glad that you tested negative for that.
Thank you,
God. He's a great guy. And I would go right back to the word for those who want to get into this industry. In 2 Timothy, I think it says, study to show thyself approved unto the Lord. A workman need not be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. And so I told people to study this thing. If you see a performance that moves you, you see a movie and you're like, man, that meant something to me. I think I could do that. Then the first thing I tell people to do is to study. Watch as many movies as you can. If that actor is somebody that you want to become the same, be able to do what that person does, then watch all of their movies. Watch those movies several times. The great Cannonball Adderley, a great saxophone player, alto sax player, had 3 rules. And this is what I tell people who are interested in this industry. It's imitate, integrate, innovate. Imitate, integrate, that means bring that into yourself, get to know it intimately, integrate it, make it a part of you, and then innovate. You will be able to be the person who inspires other people, like Dr. Cooper is able to do with his work, like hopefully I'm able to do with my work. I had studied long to do this. I've worked in Shakespeare, I've worked in August Wilson. I tested myself with the rigorous literature of the theater. That is to say, I went in deep, and I suggest that if you really want to know if this is what you want to do, everybody looks at something. I want to play baseball. I wanted to be a professional piano player. I wanted to do a lot of things that I just didn't have the dedication and the discipline to get great at it, or to at least learn the fundamentals of it. But it is in learning those fundamentals where you realize whether or not you have the stuff to see it all the way through. So, now I can look at any material, I can look at any movie and see how they put it together, because I've been tested in the fire of having to make my own movies, knowing what it takes to put those things together. It is not easy. It is not for the faint of heart. Most days you want to quit.
Yes, amen.
Yes, am I right?
Amen.
Say it, preacher.
So go in deep, dive in, and to see if it really is something that you can. It's not the easy part is great. Everybody likes going to the premiere. Everybody likes putting on their black tie and tails and all of that. That's fun. But the hard part is those days when you don't know where your next meal is coming from, when you're not feeling well, and so you use that time to study and get yourself mentally prepared. These are the things that tell the difference between those who wish that they could and those who do. It separates the men and the boys, as it were.
Yes.
So
that's a good word.
That's a good word. Tried in the fight. I love it.
Yes,
So.
Yes, sir.
I guess the most surprising part is that you actually make films. And what I've learned is making film makes you a better everything. It makes you a better actor, a better writer, a better everything if you know what you're putting together. That's what I've learned. So you have a lot of people that might think that they're actor and they're actor only, and they don't know how a film is put together or what the actor or directors, I should say, is looking for. So I didn't know that. So that's good to know. And I hope that, the listeners understand what you're saying.
I hope so too. This is, I didn't want to have to make my own movies, but I kept, waiting around for somebody to give me the kind of roles that I wanted, to put the people who I love, who I know can do this, to give them an opportunity. And so one day I just said to myself, well, if not me, then who? If not now, then when? We now have the ability, everybody has on their phone, they have a camera, they have the ability to make a movie. If they have the dedication to do it, the discipline to do it, you can make a movie with free material that's on the internet and what you're already paying for in your monthly thing. So, you study, figure out what kind of movies you want to make, what kind of movies are in your budget. This, something like Revival, something like Justice on Trial, that's not cheap to do, but it is certainly more cheap than it used to be. We can now make movies for pennies on the dollar of what it cost 20 years ago. And so with that kind of opportunity, practice, get yourself, capable, and you will find, I think you're correct, man, the more that you are putting these projects together as a producer, as a director, as somebody who's overseeing it, you actually learn those principles about acting, about writing, about what makes things work better. And I would challenge anybody who wants to do this to get outside of themselves, to think bigger. Somebody, Dr. Chad, you had somebody that I gave a shout out to who calls himself Mr. Think Big. Yeah. And I would say to everybody listening on your podcast, man, to think big. It's possible. Right. It's all in our wheelhouse now.
That's right. That's right.
Well, I agree with all that. And I would say I learned my lesson when I was forced to edit my movie, actually. One of the movies I did. Man, I'm a great editor now, but then, wow, it just took a lot of time. But I believe that's what got me to the level I'm at now, because of that one film I had to edit, and I learned, oh man, I didn't need that shot. Why did I get that shot? It was there. And it made me a better writer too, because I wrote too many paragraphs, so the dialogue was too long, and I noticed that in the edit. And I hate to speak for the Coopers, but I know that they are what they call mavericks as well. They don't wait around. They do everything on their own. They put their own stuff out, write their own plays, direct, edit, all of it, star in their own plays. And Justice on Trial, they have more people in it than the Wayans brothers have in there. They got the son, the wife, the husband, the brother, the judge.
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
And they're all good. You know how you
Family
put somebody...
affair.
Yeah, you put somebody in a movie just because, and you're like, oh man, I just hope. Not them. Theirs are all superb and good to go.
Thank you.
So I don't.
It's in their DNA. It's in like that family. There's something special in that DNA that they have.
Oh yeah, they got the Jacksons thing going on. Sure.
You did a good thing picking me.
Yeah. But let me say this. Like Harry said, just to piggyback on it, you have to study to show yourself approved. And when it comes to the things I cannot do, I don't even attempt to do it. Like, I can't dance. Maybe Harry can teach me, but
yeah, Mr. Harry, you could give us a few lessons.
But when it comes to singing and speaking or acting or putting together productions or filmmaking, these are things that we study and we do all day long. It's nothing. And my son is the same way.
Oh my God.
He sings at least 8 hours a day. He practices. And we do the same thing. In my earlier years of singing, I would practice all the time. Everything we do, and I think that one does, you have to put time in it and take it serious.
Yeah,
I agree. I go to sleep with it on my mind. I wake up with it on my mind.
You sure do, because you'll call me at 1:30 in the morning, and I'm like, I'm asleep.
Yeah.
But Chad is the same way, because once he started working with the Revival piece, I mean, he's just, even though I said, man, you always working, I thought he was coming home to just, since the Corona thing was going on, I was like, oh, we'll get a chance to do this with the family and all. And he just went right back in work mode. And he is just so enamored in this piece. I mean, he's just like, I got to do this for it. But I know it's also because it is the gospel. And he started out, my husband is a preacher. So just seeing something with this the quality of it that Mr. Harry has put together, it just sparked something in Chad. It made him just want to work this piece. I mean, he's working on this like it's one of our projects. I'm serious. From sun up to sundown, he's on the phone. He's having meetings about it because he really wants to get the word out. Because when we saw it, we were like, wow, we've never seen anybody in the church do something with such quality. And so it just gave him, it put a running in his feet. I'm telling you.
And a clapping in my hand.
Clapping in his hands. That's what we saying. That's church.
I have to believe in something to push it. Mm-hmm. And if I don't believe in it, I can't do it. But if I believe in
he believes in it.
I'm locked in. And so I take ownership of it as if it was mine.
Yeah.
And I think that's how we all have to do when we're on a team.
Yes.
Harry created this wonderful masterpiece, but he added me to the team. So I take ownership of it. And I take it serious. And so I don't see I don't take no for an answer, and I don't see defeat. I don't take defeat very well. It's a message that needs to get out.
Yes, it is.
And we're just committed to doing whatever it takes.
Yes.
Well, that segues into the next thing. What are we doing? Let's tell the audience. It's what day, where can they go, what do they have to do, who's in it? Tell us what's going on with Revival.
Well, it's April the 12th, which is Easter. Never in our lifetime have we not gone to church on Easter. The church has never been closed on Easter Sunday. So it's this coming Easter, April the 12th, and we're asking people on the West Coast to log on to EasterSunday2020.org and download it and watch it at 11 a.m. if you're on the West Coast Pacific time. If you're on the East Coast, we're asking all of our East Coasters to watch it at 3 p.m. Download it. Go to EasterSunday2020.org and download it and watch it. And then after each movie, so if you're on the West Coast at 1 o'clock, 1 o'clock, we're going to do a Q&A, and we're going to do some giveaways to see if you were attentive, if you know the characters,
songs, music.
Yeah. And then we'll do some giveaways, and the same on the East Coast after 3 p.m. and they'll be able to interact with Harry and I and some of the actors. I hope Takia is able to participate in that, because she was one of the meanest characters in that movie. I was like, I can't believe she was so.
Well, Mr. Harry could tell us more about some of the other actors.
Yeah. The first one that stood out to me was, besides Mr. Lennix, was Chaka Khan. How'd you do that?
Well, my producing partner, Dr. Holly Carter, knows her sister. I think her sister is her manager sometimes. And so she called her, and Chaka was interested in being an actress, So sometimes, people transition from singing and they get into the Hollywood aspect of it. And she was really interested in playing a part. And we are grateful to her. I can't tell you how grateful I am to Reverend Chad and Lady Alicia. They have been, as I said before, a godsend, and the way that they have taken ownership of this has really been a blessing for us. This was an inspiration of his, this Easter Sunday 2020, to get 1 million people watching at the same time, 1 million Christians. There are 1 million people who listen to a DJ party now, I think every week or something, which is great. God bless them. But we can do that same thing. We can take that inspiration in the secular and bring it to the church. And we are so grateful that we have people like Molly Music, whose music you may know, 2-time Grammy nominated singer. He plays Jesus, and he wrote most of the music in it. Donald Lawrence did the score for us.
Oh, wow.
So, that's the high-powered talent there.
Yeah.
We got Wendy Raquel Robinson from The Game. She's in it. Dawn Lewis in it. Roland Buck II from shows like Chicago Med. He's in it. My dear friend Anthony Azizi, who is a Persian actor, who actually isn't even a Christian, but who brings great spirit with him. He's actually Baha'i, so he actually is a person of the faith who believes that there is truth in all religions. So this is so we've got people from all stripes. We got black, white, young, old, Christian, non-Christian, because really Jesus was hanging out with those people that needed the church and who needed to be introduced to it. So it wasn't always preaching to the choir that he was doing. In fact, he did very little of that. He was taking the word to the unchurched. Yeah. And that is what we have done, with this movie, and we're very, very proud of its results. And we think that anybody who takes part on Easter Sunday 2020 will be blessed by it.
Amen.
Okay, so let's give it to them one more time. The website, exactly where to go, what day, and let's get this thing going. A million viewers, right?
1 million viewers. That's what we're going for.
Okay, let's give it to him one more time.
Yep.
It is. Go ahead, Harry.
Easter Sunday 2020.org. Easter Sunday 2020.org. And then our hashtag is at Easter Sunday 2020.org.
Okay, so do they have to do anything? Is it a view button or watch, or they'll log on and the movie plays?
Yeah, well, it's a button that says stream. And so when you click on that button, it's only $6.99 and you own the movie. You can watch it forever. So,
okay. And there will be services as well, right? They get the word. Yeah. Okay, so it's like Sunday service on Easter. You can't lose out. This is great. Every church in America will be closed except for this website. So no, that's facts. That is facts. Maybe for this reverend that we read about earlier, but but the rest of the country are looking for something to do, and this is going to be great.
Yes, it will.
So again, I'd like to thank you guys for coming to Behind the Scenes with Mann Robinson. We are motivational, inspirational, educational. And hopefully the audience got something they could take home and use in their careers. Thank you guys very much.
Thank you, man.
Great being with you.
Thank you very much.
And now it's time for Mann Robinson's Random Thought of the Day.
I do have a random thought. It just came to me. I can't help it. I just can't help it. It came to me. Who has the best rap verse of all time? Just one verse. Let's think about that for a minute. People might say Eminem, they might say Nas, they might say Biggie, might say Tupac, they might say, some of the younger ones, T.I., but it's really CeeLo Green. Get up, get out, and get some.
Random Thought of the Day.
This Easter Sunday.
Whom do you seek?
Jesus of Nazareth, the one who was crucified.
Jesus Christ,
Our Lord.
the Son of God, is alive again.
A musical inspired by the Book of John.
Have you considered that he may never have been dead?
Revival. A must-see inspirational movie for the whole family. Streaming online for one day only.
This Jesus the Christ, does he remind you of anyone?
Family.
Daughter, what is wrong? My Father is God, and I only do as he commands.
You don't want to miss this Easter Sunday.
Everyone who can receive the truth listens to my voice.
Imprisoning him is not our request.
Log on to www.eastersunday2020.online.
Okay, so that was the trailer. I told you we played it a couple times. It is great trailer, great movie. The trailer is one thing, the movie is a whole nother thing. You guys are going to be able to watch the movie this Easter. The website is going to be at the end of this podcast, and I'm going to say it now, www.eastersunday2020, that's the numbers, 2020.org. You can go on there and you can watch it on Easter Sunday only, not Easter Monday, not Good Friday. Easter Sunday only, and you get to see all these amazing people. Now, next, we have Kenny Lattimore. He's in the movie, like I said. We're going to interview him next. We're going to talk to him and sit down to him and get some points and tips from him and see how he was able to maneuver through this quarantine and still be creative, because that's all our goal. We got to get creative. We got to do things. And you're going to catch that now. We're going to be in mid-conversation right now because we picked up in mid-conversation. So you guys are going to get all the good stuff. So here we go with Kenny Lattimore.
Welcome back to Behind the Scenes with Mann Robinson. We don't just talk about it, we be about it.
So that is exactly what this podcast is about. Mm-hmm. It is about the industry that we're in. You're in dual industry. You're in music and in film. Mm-hmm. And we are adapting to this shift that came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And showing how important it is to have digital content. Very important to have digital content. Yeah. You yourself, you have years and years and years of music that's there for people to purchase and listen to and enjoy. Mm-hmm. So how does everybody else adapt to this? So this podcast here is actually, the way we're filming it is an adaptation of what's going on. So this is what it's all about. It's hosted by blackfilm.com, and the name of it is Behind the Scenes with Mann Robinson, and I'm the host, Mann Robinson. All right. So you are also part of a film called Revival.
Yes.
So the first thing is exactly what you started off saying was, how do you adapt? What are some of the things that you're doing to adapt to this new climate that we're in?
Well, one of the things is we've been thinking creatively and outside the box. And instead of me looking every day going, oh my gosh, I'm closed up at home or whatever, I've been taking on the attitude that this is an extension to my honeymoon because I just got married. So we've been having fun, just thinking about creative ideas and all, not really thinking about, we have the things that we need right now, but literally I have been hit. I've been hit by cancellations, tons of different appearances and gigs. And we know that everybody is in a position where we could look at it from a negative standpoint, but we are choosing to look at it from the standpoint of faith. It's given us time to, spend a different kind of quality time on a spiritual level together. We're reading the Bible. We're doing, different things that we normally do, but it's just at a more intensified level. We have to be intentional about the time that we have right now, because we know that this isn't going to last. I just believe it in my spirit that this isn't going to last. So instead of looking at what it isn't, I'm trying to look at what it is. What it is a time that we can take advantage of. And make sure that we are balancing, because a lot of times you look at the news all day and we fill ourselves with all this information, which is great because we have to be informed. But at the same time, balancing it is putting that faith level on it so that we're using the time well, whether it's just with each other or contacting people I haven't spoken with in a long time or years even. It's a good time to check on people and connect to humanity and community.
That's true. I think that, it's hard to say this, there's a positive in this, but there's a positive in everything. And I think you're right. I think
you use it. Yeah. It's like you have to be intentional in making it positive. It's not going to just automatically, we can't look at tragedy and go automatically as positive, but we can turn it around and use it.
Okay. So on the creative side, how do you, because you're a musician, so shows, you can't do shows.
I did something the other day called Unsung Live at Home with TV One. And we allowed people to come into my house, sort of like what we're doing right now, but on a large scale where I had one of my brothers play keyboards. We were still in isolation, so there was a maximum of like 5 people in my house. But we did a full-out concert and interview to just give back to our community and give people something to look at, something different. And the comments were so great. A lot of people were just like, wow, this is really making me smile. This is making my day. It was just something different. It may seem like a drop in the bucket, but but it is a contribution. So as we continue to perfect how we use the technology and all of that, we're hoping to reach even a greater audiences. I love what D Nice did, using his platform as a DJ to inspire us. And for night after night after night, he kept going on. I was like, what's he doing? But all of a sudden, there was like millions of people on this party. It's like, whoa. But that inspired me as well. I knew I was getting ready to do the Unsung Live after he had done his club quarantine. But it just gave me ideas to say, what do people not usually see from me? They don't usually get a chance to talk to me and see my family and my son sang and, just different kind of things. All of these things, I think, continue to connect us in community and uplift them in this time.
That's good. I watched D Nice as well. I was a fan of D Nice back when he was. I think he was with KRS-One. I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So to see him come back and make this or you want to call it a reinvention or re-relevance or whatever, but he actually brought people together.
Yeah, he's amazing.
He is. Do you think that it's going to stay, or when life gets back to the normal, people will kind of leave this part alone, or do you think people will, or do you even recommend that people stick to this quarantine style of broadcasting?
Wow, I think this broadcasting is going to continue to grow because we saw its effectiveness. I don't think people are going to, I could be wrong, I'm not sure that people are going to run directly back into crowds and to what they call normal. I think we have a new normal now. This is a new day. It'll never be the same again. The great part is that folks are washing their hands and never washed their hands before.
Yeah.
And they, part of this stuff is our regular lifestyle to me.
Yeah.
Sanitizing and all that. But it's great that everybody is participating in it and looking out for one another. So, maybe this is something that will affect how viruses and diseases are prevented in future generations. I don't know. But I think that when people do not feel well, they're going to always come back to the fact that we have this technology and it's been a blessing to us.
Yeah.
They're going to look for content. Last night we were looking at something, oh my gosh, Netflix and all these channels on TV are winning. We were looking at something called Tiger King and just completely got caught up like, what? I mean, what is this? And stuff that I never would have watched. Or had it not been for the quarantine and again the technology of being able to see it.
Yeah, Netflix just definitely, if there was a reason to believe that streaming was going to take over, it's definitely now.
Yeah.
And they proved that right now. But you also are a part of something else that's big that is actually taking the streaming route, and that's the Revival film. So I actually have worked with Chad Lawson Cooper on other movies that I directed that he actually wrote. Mm-hmm. And I understand that he was innovative enough to come up with a way to still show that although all the churches are going to be closed that day.
Right.
So that movie has to be seen though. So no matter what's going on, a movie like that has to be seen on that day. That's just what it is. So you're a part of that. So how do you feel about that?
I think that who knew, only God knew that this day was going to come and he would allow the whole team to be prepared to do this. I think it's such a great story. I love how the movie combines modern day, biblical times, music, dance. There's so many different creative elements to this film and so many great performances. So, really proud being a part of it. It's innovative and it deserves a platform as such with innovation to reach the community.
I agree. When I looked at it, I think I seen it maybe 2 weeks ago, the trailer and the promo kit for it. Just the production level of a movie like that never happens. You never get a movie with that type of production level that's church based or have. So to see that, and then for Henry to, I think it was either Henry or Mr. Green who actually cast for it and was able to cast that type of cast, including yourself, was wow.
It was interesting because there were lots of really talented people involved. and it filmed for a fairly long period of time. But when I saw that film back, I was like, it was just a wow. I was able to go to the premiere when it was first released, and I'm really happy that this platform is going to allow more people to see it than ever. Yeah, I really enjoy it during this Easter season, and I think it's going to give them hope. It's going to give people a fresh perspective on the story of Jesus Christ. I think it's the book of John pretty much that it focuses on. So people that may not read the Bible as much or be into God or church as much, I think it makes it tangible. It's a creative project that will bring them in, and if they watch the film during the season, I think they're going to be thoroughly entertained, and they're going to learn some things about our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ.
I agree. It reminds me of not the actual content, but back before all these streaming services and all the cable networks, I think we had Channel 50, and the Ten Commandments would come out once a year.
My goodness.
Remember when that came? So it reminds me of that type of impact that could happen.
Yeah.
On April 12th.
You're so right. I remember that. Like, you're taking me back now.
Yeah, that was.
The commandments would shut our house down every year.
Every year, yeah.
Time you saw it, you were going to still sit there and be like, "Oh, the water parting." Oh,
yeah, it has that type of effect, and whoever wrote it maybe had that in mind. I'm not sure, but it definitely has that effect. So, let me ask you this: so you are a musical great.
Thank you.
The Lattimore name rings far. But you were in that film with another great, Chaka Khan.
Oh man,
come on! How was it?
One of my absolute favorites of all time. Chaka, I met Chaka when I was 8 years old, and just a kid out looking for an autograph or what have you. And she was real sweet to me, and I'll never forget it. Not just meeting her, because I was a fan of the music even at 8, because we didn't have a lot of the musical barriers in the 80s or what have you, the 70s and 80s that exist now. Now there's this separation that this is the music for the kids, this is the music for the club, this is the music for this is music for the older folks. But we listened to everything. Yeah. And what I loved was that she could sing everything. She always blew it out the park, her range. And so as a child, I remember meeting her and just being like, wow, this lady came up, and the big hair and all the iconic parts of physically what she looked like. But then I got into the music more and more as I grew up and got into singing and studying, and realized how really gifted she is. And her ear, her improvisation, and knack for jazz, all of that. So then to see her in a film like this, it just continues her legacy, just expanding our view of who she is and her capabilities, which seem to be endless.
Yeah, forever young. Really, she is
just celebrated a birthday, right? She just celebrated a birthday.
Yeah, that's amazing. But she wasn't the only one. You had Dawn. You had Michelle Williams.
Yeah. Dawn is another great friend. She's on Broadway now doing Tina. So, when they put this cast together, and Michelle Williams as well is like another great friend. When they put this cast together, I think that they wanted people who really related to the story as well. People who practice a certain level of faith, maybe, or have an idea that their faith would identify in the film and ring as authentic. So I think that's why you get almost like effortless performances out of each person.
Yeah, and mixed with that, you also get what's, like you said earlier, what's going on with the release and Easter being here and us being quarantined per se, and all being able to have more people actually being able to watch it now. If they're watching stuff on Netflix, this is definitely something that they're going to tune into.
Definitely check out the Bible.
Yeah, so whoever put it together,
music playing Jesus.
Yeah, Molly Music playing the Black Jesus. I mean, you can't. That is, it's phenomenal, and it's all together. Mm-hmm. It's not missing anything.
Yeah,
it's not missing anything. So I'm actually helping out with the release that day as well. Me and my team, blackfilm.com is going to actually do a write up on it as well to help. And of course, this podcast will air on April 8th.
All
and if you could do us a favor and tell your fans and everyone where to find you.
All right.
Okay.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Checking out Revival.
Checking out Revival. So give me your Instagrams, your Facebooks, and anything else you might have to have the audience look for you.
Okay. And it's just at Kenny Lattimore. So anybody want to know my schedule once this quarantine is over and you want to know when I hit the streets, you can go to KennyLattimore.com. That's my website. And if you're at Facebook, go to official Kenny Lattimore. Look for those blue checks and things, people, so that imposters don't lure you guys away into sites that are not real. We try to make sure we're verified on everything, though. And
I mean, that was my next thing. There's only one Kenny Lattimore. I mean, the algorithms for your name have to be super high. There's not any other Kennys out there. So
thank you.
Thank you for tuning in. Thanks for coming in and talking to us, and we'll see you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Have a wonderful day.
Thanks for tuning in to Behind the Scenes with Mann Robinson. Our aim is to genuinely encourage and inspire you with the compelling stories and content we provide in hopes that you'll inspire others. For info on upcoming episodes and all things surrounding film, techniques, and motivation, follow at Mann Robinson on all social platforms. View on blackfilm.com, mannrobinson.org, or stream anytime on Spotify and iTunes.